is July, and that means wrap up. I'm gonna tell you what I read in April, May, and June, and I have my bullet journal. Because if you saw the previous video, these 3 months have been crazy. So, fortunately, I took notes of everything. And we're starting from April. The first book I read in April was Man-Made Monsters by Andrea L. Rogers. This book is one of the books that I read for my 12 Friends challenge. That is a challenge in which I asked 12 of my friends to suggest me. This was in particular suggested by Not Bella. And I gonna say that it was a discovery because it was a genre horror that I usually don't read, that I usually don't enjoy, but this one was really interesting. So reading this book, I went completely out of my comfort zone, and I'm honestly really proud of it. There were so many different horror tropes, and I loved how with all of them we kind of followed the entire story of this family like a long fil rouge, red thread. It was an experience, but I am really happy I read it. Two things: the images at the start of the chapters and the glossary at the end were chef kiss in this book. Incredibly helpful. Now, brace yourself, people, because the second book that I read in April was Sunrise on the Reaping. I don't know where to start with this book. If you already saw other bookish video, you know that I read the entire saga of Hunger Games, and this was the last book that I read because it's the last that came out. So I know the story. I read the first trilogy more than one time. But this book was different. First, it was the impact was big because the last book that I read was The Ballad. And going from the ballad and what the ballad talks about to going back, being thrown back into the arena, it was difficult. It was definitely difficult. I gave this book 4.5 stars. The real mark would have been 5, but this book, out of all the others that I read of Hunger Games, really unsettled me. If I have to find one way to describe it, one word to describe it, I will say cruel. Because it's simply that. I always found, I don't want to say an explanation because there is no explanation, but a reason behind all the cruelty in the previous Hunger Games. But this one was, it was too much. I personally read a lot of dark books. I read a lot of trigger warnings, but these really made me sick in some moments. It was a great book, but it was definitely difficult to. It was difficult to read. It was difficult to imagine. Great book though. April was tough. The last book that I read in April was a graphic novel that I saw on TikTok and that I got directly in London, and I'm talking about The Handmaid's Tale graphic novel. The art inside of this is amazing. I don't know if I ever shared it, but The Handmaid's Tale is my go-to book. When someone asks me, oh, what's what book that you suggest? I answer with a big disclaimer on the trigger warning, but I answer The Handmaid's Tale. When I saw this on TikTok, I was like, I can't believe it exists. It's amazing. And when I went to London, I was like, maybe they have it, because online was incredibly expensive. Maybe they have it. Gonna be honest, I was close to not being able to bring it home, but Butterstone ended up having it. So here I am with my amazing copy of the Handmaid's Tale graphic novel, and I'm going to give you a sneak peek of the art inside, because my god, how beautiful it is. It's amazing. Well, I guess 5. I love that. So 5 stars. Has the book 5 stars. Can't say anything else. And that was all for April, so we switched to May. In May, I read 3 books. The first one was Le Otto Montagne by Paolo Cognetti. It's an Italian book. I honestly didn't know what to expect when I started this book, because it got suggested me by a friend that really loved it. So I kind of started it with zero expectation. It's story of a life spent in the mountain, and it's kind of the story of how the relation between the protagonist and the mountain developed. It was pretty strange to read, because until the very end I was like, okay, then what are you trying to tell me? And in the end, like the last few pages, I was like, okay, now I understand. It was definitely a great experience. I have to say that I probably cried a little bit while reading this. Mainly in the end. I gave 4.25 stars out of 5. Really nice. The second book that I read in May was Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. Yeah, Pelt. Yeah, I'm struggling with this surname. I am so sorry. I read this for our main book club on Discord, and oh my god. Oh my god. I'm going straight with the mark, because I gave 5 out of 5 to this book. It's one of the cutest book that I ever read. Marcellus was the best character ever in this book. So smart, so bright, so funny, and it was a freaking octopus. I love that. I love how, again, cute this book was. And I also enjoyed a lot how, until the very end, I haven't been able to understand why the stories of these 2 people were linked together. And then when I understood it, I was like, oh my god, I had it in front of me for the entire time, and I haven't been able to put my hands on it. So it was a really sweet and not unexpected, but it was a really sweet and kind of surprise plot twist. So really great. It was an experience. I'm so happy that we have so many good literature choices in our book club. Yes, I'm bragging, but it's not me deciding them. So it was really, really great. 5 stars. All deserved. The third and last book that I read in May was Una lezione di perfidia by S.T. Gibson. Now I'm going to tell you the English name the English title for this one. But first story. In May, I went to a book fair here in Italy that it's like a really big one, really important one, that it's held in my city. It's called Salone del Libro. And I went to the stand of this publishing house. Last year that I went to the fair, they had the stand, but it was a really, really small one because they were just opened. And this is a branch of one of my favorite publishing houses in Italy. So when this year they had their own stand, I spent 40 minutes browsing all the books that they had, and then I needed to buy one. I got this one mainly because of, well, the plot, of course, but look at this cover. It's amazing. So I had to get it. While I was buying it, I told many compliments to the people at the stand. So I bought it and I brought it home, and then I showed it on stream, and someone on stream went like, "Oh, but this is..." And the original title that I still don't remember. I am so sorry. This. The original title is An Education in Malice. And when I realized that this book is the Italian translation of An Education in Malice, there was a book that I had my eyes on in like a long time. My mind was blown. So yeah, I read it. It wasn't what I was expecting. So I expected college vibe, and I expected dark academia vibes, and those two expectations were incredibly met. But then something that I didn't expected, and I incredibly enjoyed, because usually I kinda don't, were and Sapphic. Unexpected, but really, really amazing to read. This book was great. If you love the dark academia vibes, this book is for you. It kind of reminded me about An Academy for Liars. Well, not same level, but still, kind of there. It was great. I gave 3.75 stars, and really nice reading. My dark side was really satisfied with this one. And then we come to June. June is the month in which I read the least, and it's kind of strange if you saw the previous video, thinking that June was the month that I used to set my feet again and reorganize my life, so I was home the entire time. But still, I managed to read less than I did in the previous 2 months. Don't ask me why. I was probably tired. The last reading we're going to talk about for June is A Magic Steeped in Poison. This is the second book that I brought home from London. It's again a book from the 12 Friends Challenge. This has been suggested by Lenny Burney. This book was great. Great. I'm gonna be honest. In my life, I didn't read a lot of books with Japanese kind of vibes. This was great. The magic system through these was genius. I loved it, like being able to do magic through tea leaves and all the technique that you have to learn to brew a good tea. Wow, like clap to the author, because the idea is amazing. I really like the story. We have this a little bit rebellious vibes from the protagonist, but because of family, so amazing. One thing that I have to complain about is that I was well aware that this wasn't a standalone, okay, and I have nothing against book series and like having to read the sequel, but not if it ends like this. Because this wasn't a cliffhanger. Okay. This was worst. I finished this book. I'm not lying. I finished this book and I screamed to the author, because how can you end a book like this? This is worse than a cliffhanger. I don't know if there's something, I don't know if there's a way to describe a cliffhanger that it's like giant, too much. This was it. So if you take this, I'm not telling you to buy both right away, because maybe you're not gonna like the first one, so don't buy the second one with the first one. But be ready, because when you're going to finish this, you're kind of gonna suffer a little bit. You're gonna suffer, not for the story, but for how it ends. That's the only complaint that I have to say about this book. This was a 3.5 stars. And Lenny, thank you for suggesting it, because it was a really, really nice journey. And that was it for these 3 months. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't read a lot, but I am happy because I feel like I'm back on track on my books and pages challenges, and I started a bunch of new challenges, yes, in the middle of the year, but really, really great, that are currently hosted in our book club. So I'm gonna leave the Discord link below if you'd like to browse and know what we are doing and what we are reading. In July and August, we are reading 1984 for the main book club and The Hobbit for the parallel book club. September is gonna be back to school month, so we are going to read Shakespeare, kinda throwback. And September and October, we are going to read The Fellowship of the Ring. If you'd like to join us, now you know what you're reading, and again, I'm gonna leave the Discord link. I'm gonna be honest, I can't wait for the next wrap-up video, because I'm going to talk about July, and July was a really, really, really great month for my reading. But hey, you're gonna have to wait next video. So thank you so much for being here. Of course, as always, let me know if we have books in common, or let me know your favorite books or least favorite books that you read in these months. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!